Welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss how to do the project. I've already loaded it into Canvas, the guidelines on it. So basically, the Dreamweaver project is one part of it, and the database part is another part of it. So let's talk about the Dreamweaver first, then I'll touch on the database, and then I will talk more about the database in another video. So we're going to start off with the template over here. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to have different files, and each one has to be in a folder. Right now, the first thing you want to do is you're going to create 3 separate files, all from the template. So you start off with new, and we have the project template over here, and we're going to click on create. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to save that as our index file. And I already have the index in here. That's okay. So we're going to click on Save as Index, and I'm going to overwrite that. So here's where I'm actually going to create all of my information. Now I'm working in Design View, so obviously it's going to look different. Let's go into Live View, and you can see what's in here. So I will be changing all of this in here, and I will be putting whatever I want to put in here. Next thing we're going to do is create another file called About Us. So we're going to go New, again, File from the project, click on Create. This time when we save it, it needs to be saved in a folder called About Us. So we're going to click on New Folder, and I'm going to type in About. And I'm just going to call the file About Us. And you can make it About Us. You can make it About Us like this. Whatever's easiest, just make sure everything is in lowercase and no spaces. So now I have the About Us. The next thing is going to be a Contact Us file in here. So I'm going to click on File, New project or new file from the template, and we're going to call it, save it, and create a new folder called Contact. And then we're going to call this Contact Us. Gee, so the index is going to be information about your homepage and so on and so forth. The About Us is information about your company, maybe who you have running it, some people about that. And the contact is you're going to set up a form, which you can use the example from the book and just put in a contact name, so on and so forth, whatever information you want, name, address, phone number, and that's it. That is different than the form you're going to create to add something in there. So that is that part over here. Remember that to follow the guidelines about graphics, make sure that you change the links in here to reflect it. So I'm going to go back into the template, and I'm in Design here, and I have Home. Now notice the link over here just says Home. That's a dummy way of making it a link. So this one's going to get linked to Index. Then News, we're going to change that to About Us. So I'll leave this blank in here. Contact Us and About we already have. So let's click on this one over here. Now, one thing you need to make sure that you do. Let's go back to the Home. Make sure when you click on it, always select the A when you do it, or it just might not take in the link. So let's click on Contact, and let's click on the A to make sure that that's being selected. Click on the Browse, and now we're going to go to Contact. and we have it here. And it looks like I may have saved About Us somewhere else, so this would be a good time to show you how to change that. So let's go now into About, and we'll click on the link to make sure that gets selected. We'll go into here and we'll find About Us, which is right here and in the wrong spot. Not a problem. So now we're done with these three over here. So I'm going to save it. And notice that it wants to update the files. So let's update them. And boom. That takes, so it filed 3 files examined and 3 files updated, which is exactly right. So let's go into the About Us, and let's go into Code View, and let's see if anything's changed. So notice that it now has the links in here. News has not been done yet. So you can do that for whatever one you want. You can move these around if you don't like them. So now what we're going to do is fix the About Us. It's really easy. Just take this About Us over here. And I recommend closing About Us first. And yes, we want to save it. So we're going to click on About Us, and we're going to move it into About. And it should ask you, do you want to update the links? Make sure you choose yes. And we want to update them all. And boom. So now we have About Us here. Let's open that up and just make sure that the links are updated accordingly. And that looks good to us in here. Now it's here, it's going to say About Us without any change in folder because it's in the same folder. Let's go into Contact and see what that does. Okay, notice Contact now is there, but About Us has changed. So Dreamweaver is going to do all that automatically for you. So then you're going to go and you're going to create other files all within a folder. One of them is going to be to add a record, one is going to be to update a record, and one is going to just select from the table and just display it in there. So the PHP code is a lot easier than you might think it is. I will give you examples in here. So let's go into Heidi, which is right here. And you're going to create your database in here if you haven't done it already. Once you create the database, you're going to create a new table. You're going to name the table, obviously. You're going to create the columns in here, and I can give you some suggestions on that as well. And then you're going to insert a few records. So let's just go into the other one, and you can follow the video from before. So let's just go into the students. The easiest way to change and add records into it is just to go into the data and click on the plus sign and add records there. So you can see I have it in here. Make sure that you do not put anything in the ID. So Jones and John. And the GPA, not as good in there, and then the date will get filled in automatically. That's all you do. Now notice that it filled this in for you automatically. Don't worry about the fact that these 1, 3, and then 2, when you actually do the select, you'll see that it's actually going to be indexed for you automatically. Then to recap, to do an index, all you had to do is go into the actual table itself, and you're going to right-click on it. You're going to create new index, and you can do a primary index. So that's pretty much it. Follow the guidelines that are within Canvas. Let me show you what is in Canvas. So So there's no misunderstanding. I have the zip file there. You're going to unzip it over here. You're going to unzip the project template over here. Okay, you have the CSS, you have images, and you have the templates already there. This is what we did over here. Now notice the About Us must have at least 2 graphics in the main section, and that's nothing to do with what's on the left. And the contact form is just something requesting information. Then you're going to need to have at least one other file. Example, our services, a photo gallery, where you can follow the donuts one. That has some neat stuff in here. Then the PHP pages. Now, you're going to be using HTML pages that are going to call PHP pages. So there you're going to have one that's going to insert the record based upon the fields from the forms, update, and display the records. Notice the index file is the only one permitted in the root directory. Each file must have a graphic in the first column, which should be 200 pixels wide. So let's make it 190. You know, if you want to make it 180 by 180, that's okay. Each page should have its own heading. You're going to modify the footer. The About Us, again, should have important information about your site, and I'm suggesting that you review other ones. So we're going to go back in to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go into Design. Move this out of the way. This is the page header that you're going to change. Here's where you're going to put the graphics, the 180 by 180 or 190 by 190. And here's where you're going to put other graphics in here. And then, of course, you're going to change in the template information about yours. That's it for this video. So I'll be making a little bit more detail for the actual PHP itself to help you out. I'll have some example codes for you to look at. It's very simple. Remember, you're going to be doing all of the PHP on your S drive, but when you try to run it, it's not going to work, so do not worry about it because you're going to be working your database on your own computer and you're not going to have access to it. That's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions.